2008 was a desperate time, and 2009 didn't start any better. People desperately needed something to give them hope, make them feel better about their country. And then
you get a call like we did this afternoon, and you immediately fear the worst. Good Morning America's Robin Roberts called in. There's a plane down in the Hudson River, she reported, an airliner. US Air Flight 1549 had just taken off from New York's LaGuardia Airport bound for Charlotte. Within minutes, the plane crash-landed into the icy waters of the Hudson River. All indications are the plane struck something, a bird strike most likely, and the pilot used the river as a runway in order to make a water landing. And the great news, everyone made it off the plane safely.
What a wonderful day it was for New York, and we needed a wonderful day. It was 8 years after the deadly attack on our country on September 11th, and it was in the midst of the financial crisis as well.
Valley Collins was in seat 26D.
We hear this boom, and the plane dropped, not a lot, just a little bit, but I looked at my seatmate, but he's at the window, and I said, "What was that?" And he told me it was birds, because he was looking out the window. And then I saw smoke and smelled, a really bad odor that we now know was burning goose flesh, I guess. And that's when I became really aware that we had a problem, because a long time ago I had a pilot tell me, "Don't worry about turbulence. Pilots, we just worry about birds and fire." So I thought, great, we've got birds and fire.
Now, Valley joined some 100 other people in Charlotte Tuesday, 100 people who had been aboard US Air Flight 1549 from New York to Charlotte 10 years ago. They've become family, and this was their family reunion.
A lot of the passengers live in the Charlotte area, and so me living in Jacksonville, it's been a little bit more difficult. You stayed in touch for the first little while, and then once Facebook kind of took over there, then we can stay in touch that way, and we have a Flight 1549 closed group that we communicate through, and it's great because they're friends that we've made. We've probably would have never met each other in many cases in the normal course of life, but each time we look out there and see something good with them on Facebook, it's all good.
The Carolinas Aviation Museum in Charlotte is now home for the Airbus A320 that was Flight 1549. The museum hosted a private event this week for the people who had been aboard that flight.
And I came in, and it was the first time I saw it, and it's an amazing experience, and you're really in awe. The aircraft is so large, the damage is so extensive. You think about the number of people and all the things that had to happen that day, and I just really think it's aptly named the Miracle on the Hudson.
But for the flight crew, it was less miracle, more training and experience.
Yeah, this was a novel, unanticipated event for which we had never specifically trained. In our flight simulators at the time, it was not possible to practice a water landing. So we had to very quickly take what we did know, adapt it, and apply it a new way to very quickly solve this problem and get it right the first time in less than 3.5 minutes. And that's why it was so important that Jeff also had been a captain before in the 737 before he came to the Airbus. He also has 20,000 hours of flying time. He was able to immediately and intuitively understand this developing crisis as I did, because I didn't have time to direct his every action. He had to know what he should do to help me. In other words, we were able to collaborate wordlessly in a situation where the time pressure and the workload were so extreme, we didn't have time even to talk about it. I met him on Monday when we started this 4-day trip, 3 days before this challenge of a lifetime.
Wow.
So that's just an indication of how deeply internalized are these, not only these technical skills, flying skills, but the team skills that we learn, that I used to teach, to how to solve any problem in an airplane, have a paradigm at the ready to impose order on chaos.
And the takeaway lessons?
It was a positive experience. So for me, immediately, what I learned from this positive experience is that I have zero tolerance for negative people.
I reflect back on that day and I think about the end of the day for me, where I was in a hotel, the first time that I had looked in a mirror since rescue. I fell in when I was rescued. When I got to Weehawken Ferry Terminal, they came and passed out pants and shirts, and the first mate on the boat that rescued me had given me his hooded sweatshirt. When I looked in the mirror, and the image that I saw looking back at me that day was that of a homeless person. And it gave me a care and a compassion for the homeless that without going through this experience, I never would have had that gift.
That day, to be such a tragic, traumatic, stressful situation, you really saw some of the best of humanity. The civilian boats, the ferry boats, of course the Coast Guard. I mean, everybody just coming to our rescue. It was unbelievable.
So if the miracle on the Hudson is an example to us, it is that in the Bible it says to love our neighbors as we would love ourselves. But maybe after situations like this and the great efforts that we saw, we should love our neighbors because they are ourselves.
In Charlotte, Warren Morningstar, AOPA Live.